Welcome to this small business masterclass. Now, you may have sat through some other masterclasses before, but this is going to be like no other one. Now, I know that's a big promise, but hear me out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through all of the foundations that you will need to get your business from scratch, from nothing, all the way to six figures and beyond. But what I'm also going to do is not tell you what to do, but what not to do. And that actually might be even more important than knowing what to do. And I learned this the hard way. I've wasted millions and lost millions of dollars and years of absolute misery. And I don't really want that for you. This is the framework that I wished I would have had if I wanted to get my business off the ground and make six figures plus. But do stick around towards the end of this video because I'm going to be showing you how you can download for free the frameworks that I'm going to be walking you through this very masterclass. But first things first, why are you here? Now, you might be here because you're very early on in your business journey and you've just started a new business and you want to understand how to grow it. Or you might have had a business for a while and it's stagnating or it's overwhelming you and it's not giving you the results that you want. But that's not really why you're here, is it? Now, if you're like me, you're here because you really ultimately want a business that can give you that financial freedom, that can give you that time freedom, that allows you to be your own boss, bring you that amazing sort of ideas to life and have that legacy and have that impact and contribution, and also to be able to do things that you really love and follow your passion. But instead, what's probably happening is that you are staying late up at night, if you were like me when I first started, and thinking, do I have the right business idea? Am I doing the right things? Is my business model scalable? Now, one of the big problems I had was how do I actually find these customers and actually attract them and get them to buy and to actually keep them on forever and get them to sort of tell other customers? How do I bring in a consistent stream of customers? How do I make the right decisions to grow my business? How do I build a business that doesn't crumble under its own weight? But one of the big ones that I was really struggling when I first started out was how am I going to be able to pay the bills at the end of this month? And many more questions, one of them being, what if I fail? And it's not a bad question. I mean, it's not a great question, but it's a fair question because 20% of businesses fail in their very first year. And 50% of businesses fail in the first 5 years, and most fail within 10 years. The majority of businesses actually fail. 97% of business owners are not really running their businesses in the right way. How do I pick out that statistic? Well, only 3% of businesses get to 7 figures plus. Now, you might say to me, I don't want to get my business to 7 figures plus. That's great. But if you wanted to, why wouldn't you? If it was actually going to give you that time freedom, if it was actually going to give you that financial freedom. That's why you got into business for in the first place, and be able to have the time and work on the things that you really want to work on. So if you want to be able to get your business ultimately to 7 figures plus so that you can have that financial freedom, only 3% of businesses get that far. And I know that you're early on in this stage, but what we want you to do is you want to be able to have that right solid foundations right at the get-go so that you can build your business solidly to that six-figure mark and beyond and get you to 7 figures and who knows where else. But please, I don't want you to become a statistic. I've suffered through growing businesses in the past, and I know how painful it is to have a business absolutely fold. But what's the reason behind most of these businesses actually failing? You see in the slide here, running a business in your zone of genius is completely different to being awesome in your expertise. You're great at what you do, but running a business is completely different to your expertise. Let's take that further, is completely different, not just to your expertise, but it's a completely different discipline altogether. And it's not your fault because what's happened inside most education systems that's built out back from the factory age of the Industrial Revolution, it was there to dish out factory workers, and it teaches us not to take risks and not to lead and not to own businesses, but actually to clock in and clock out. And it teaches us to follow and fear failure. Don't fail your exams because if you fail, you're not going to get a good job. Don't do this, otherwise you're going to get fired. And we've been conditioned to fear that failure, and running a business is completely different to that. It's about taking risks. It's about leading. It's about having failures or small controlled failures every once in a while. And it goes against everything that we've been taught as we've been brought up. But also I wanted to let you know that it's not easy. This is not going to be a get rich quick scheme masterclass. If that is what you've come for, please, this is not for you. Go somewhere else. This is not going to be easy. However, there are proven frameworks that if you follow and you stick to, it will improve your chances of success dramatically. And that's what we're going to try and get you to do here today. So This is for you if you really have an amazing business idea, or if you're in the early stages of your business, or your business is not getting off the ground, as we've mentioned before. If you really want to know how to structure and grow your business with the right foundations, you want to be able to get ahead of the game, you want to be able to lay down a business plan that's rock solid, or you just simply want the confidence that your idea will actually work and is scalable. But like I was just mentioning earlier before, this is not for you if you're just a passive dreamer and you're not willing to put in the work. This is not going to be easy, and I'm not going to be like all of those other masterclasses or all of those other gurus who are going to sit there. By the way, I'm not a guru, but I'm just going to say I'm not going to be like all of those other gurus who are going to sit there and say, hey, here are 3 trademark simple steps for you to do. If you follow these, you're going to be great. Rubbish. I'm sorry. It doesn't work. Having a business that you want to scale needs to have several different key things and several different solid foundations so that you can actually build something that is sustainable, that is profitable, that can actually serve you, and not you sitting there running like crazy serving it. And that's not what we want. So if you are here and you're resistant to change, this masterclass is also not for you. If you're looking for overnight hacks and quick fixes, please click away. Now, if your business is making 7 figures plus in revenue, congratulations, by the way. If it is, this is not targeted specifically for you, but do stick around because some of those foundations in your business might be missing. I do have another masterclass up here. I'll put the link somewhere on this channel that you can go and watch if you've got 7 figures plus and you really want to scale your business beyond that. That masterclass is going to be for you, but do stick around. Like I said, it's always good to make sure that you've got the right foundations in place. Finally, last but not least, if you're not willing to believe, this is not going to be for you, and we'll talk about mindset in a little bit. Now, let's throw all that rubbish away. Do you really want to build your business like the successful 3%? This is how. And I'm going to walk you through this framework. It's not a step-by-step process, by the way. It's a framework. You're going to have to loop and come back and do different things at different times, and you're going to have to adapt it to your business. But it's a framework, and we have to start somewhere, right? But before we do all of that, who are you and why should I listen to you? Great question, by the way. My name is Tamer. Nice to meet you. I'm a serial entrepreneur, but more importantly, a serious coffee drinker. None of that rubbish instant coffee stuff. But anyway, let's focus. It might be useful that you know that I've grown several multi-million-dollar businesses in the past, and I failed quite a few as well, one disastrously so. And I'm not going to talk too much about myself here. There are other videos on this channel, but I'm going to summarize just a little bit, if you don't mind, so you know why you should listen to me. But at the same time, don't just listen to me and just accept everything. Use your critical mind, make sure that it makes sense to you, and please ask questions in the comments below if you're confused about something. Now, our vision at CEO Entrepreneur is to inspire and empower every entrepreneur to build the business they want, to get the lifestyle they desire. And I mean each and every entrepreneur. And I understand that each business is different and each entrepreneur is different. And that's why we were very particular about saying each and every entrepreneur. We don't want to have cookie cutter, 3-step trademark processes. It doesn't work for everyone. That's generic blah. I'm going to sit here and talk to you about frameworks, not steps, and be able to understand what you need to do within these frameworks and how you can adapt it to your business. But as I said before, it's more important to know also what not to do. And how do I know that? Well, I failed. Mega. Drastically. Now, I'm going to put up some photos up here and a video of my son many, many years back. And I'm not going to start with telling you, hey, I was poor, rags and riches, and I got to, here's my fancy cars. I'm going to put some fancy cars and say, actually, I had them and I lost everything. My story was the other way around. I had a great life. I had a $100 million valued business and I ended up losing absolutely everything within 30 days. First of all, I came back from traveling. My house was completely flooded and destroyed. And then at the same time, within those same 30 days, the business I was running, we had a big, massive 8-figure contract with a huge client that we delivered. We hired hundreds of subcontractors. We paid millions to be able to deliver this project, which was delivered successfully. And they turned around at the end after 3 days and said, we're not honoring any past contracts and we're not paying you, even though they received the project and it was announced in the newspapers and everything was great and fantastic. Why didn't we take them to court? We didn't have the money or the power or the resources to be able to take them to court. They were too powerful, they were too strong, and we just absolutely were devastated. I ended up having to fire all of my staff across 3 branches across the world, having lost everything. My business partner ended up being arrested in Dubai in prison because he had written some checks to give to our subcontractors. Once we got paid, we didn't get paid. We couldn't pay them. They took us to court in Dubai. The person who signs a check is actually personally and criminally liable. And he called me up to try and get him out of jail. That whole 30 days was just the worst 30 days of my life. And to top it off, I was trying to sell my cars, sell everything that I owned so that I can actually pay some salaries to the staff that we had left. And when I took one of my cars to sell, the engine just blew up in front of the person trying to buy it. I mean, it was just one of those things where everything was happening. Think about the worst things that can happen. It happened. Now, I don't want to bore you to death. There's a whole video about it here. If you're interested, I'll link it down in the description below and put it up here as well. This masterclass is not about me, it's about you. But what I wanted to say this for, and I wanted to sort of bring this in, is because I learned many, many lessons in that entire experience. I came back to the UK, I rebuilt another business, I gave a TEDx talk, we got funded, we got Innovations Awards, I settled all of my debts. I was $2.5 million personally out of pocket in debt. I settled all that, built the business back up again, but I was absolutely miserable. But I also learned what to do, when to do things, how to do them the right way. And that's why we're here today. But more importantly, like I said, what not to do, when not to do things, how not to do things the wrong way. And we're going to walk through all of that because that could have saved me years and years of misery and millions of dollars wasted. And I don't want that for you. So that's why I'm here today. So this masterclass, we're going to have 5 key takeaways. The first one is we're going to build the right foundations and company structure and business structure for your business with proven frameworks so that you can really get your early stage business, or if you're just about starting, set it up in the right way so that it can really stand the test of time. We also are going to understand what your job is early stage to get you to 6 figures plus, because every time you move to the next level, you have to kind of shift gears and you have to have a slightly different job description. So we're going to walk through the job description really early on when you're just starting out and understand why you're probably going to be your biggest threat to this whole thing. We're going to also walk through and understand that building a business is pretty much like a jigsaw puzzle, and it's not just about marketing ads or following your passion or any of those gurus who sit there and tell you run some Facebook ads and you're going to be fine. It might be for a day or two, but then it won't. We're also going to take a look at your business from a completely different perspective, and this is a game changer when you look at your business from a completely different perspective, and it's the perspective that the successful 3% really look at their business and the 97% don't. And last but not least, once we walk through all of this, hopefully you'll gain the confidence and clarity to understand how to build the business on your dreams, and you can start working on this today. And yes, we're going to also mention what not to do, like I've said before. So let's have a look at this framework we've been talking about. The first step is going to be the journey. Now, what is important here is for you to understand that this is a marathon, not a sprint, because I see a lot of business owners who are coming into business, including myself when I first started out, super passionate, super excited, expecting that they're going to come out there, have an idea, try and sell it, and everyone's going to sit there and buy it and the money's going to roll in. It doesn't work that way. And the sooner that we get prepared for that, the better, because that's where a lot of the overwhelm happens. That's where a lot of the desperation happens, because you haven't planned that it's going to take time to get to where you want to be. And we start becoming very fearful and we start getting very worried and overwhelmed and stressed. And usually that's when we start making wrong decisions in our business. It's like climbing a mountain. You can't just teleport to the top until they invent that device. Yes, I know you can probably take a helicopter, but humor me here. So what we want to be able to do is we need to make sure that we plan and prepare how you're going to get to your destination, right? And that is going to include 2 separate things. Your own destination as you, the small business owner, and what you want out of your business and what you want your business to do to serve you, but also the destination for your business. And those could be 2 very separate things, because sometimes some people will sell the business and move on, and the business still needs to operate. Now, I'm not suggesting that that's what you're going to do, but we need to understand that those are 2 separate things. And what we want to do is be able to understand, first of all, what is your personal journey here. Now, here's what not to do. Like I promised, the vast majority of people will sit there and say, right, what's my passion? What am I good at doing? Then I'm going to try and come up with a product or service or several that I can offer in this space of my passion, right? So I'm going to say, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm passionate about. This is a really good idea that I think I could sell. And then you sit there and you put it out in the marketplace and hope that your product or offer is going to sell. Notice here that everything is about the business owner. It's identifying their passion. It's figuring out what solution they can provide. And it's hoping that people will buy their product. And then what people do is that they sit there and they go and look for YouTube videos or other places or speak to other people and say, hey, what am I good at doing? What can I do a business in? And then they go and search, what are the top business ideas in this particular thing? Oh, that looks like it could work. Let me run Facebook or Google ads because that's what the guru persons tell me there. They say, that's how you should do it. Hey, you're better than that. That's not how to do it. What we want to do is that the business itself should never ever be about you, with the major exception that it should serve your vision and your personal vision in the medium and long term. Everything else, the business needs to be about the potential customers, your target market, your audience, their pain points. What is it that they want? What is it that they need? What is it that they need fixed right now so that they will be looking to buy this thing? And it's all about, every time it has to be about the potential audience that you are going to serve, not about you. The business needs to serve you in its ultimate vision and in your end destination, but let's not start that business coming up with ideas that way around. Hope that makes sense. Now, what you should be doing then first as part of your journey is, before you start this business, you do need to understand what your personal vision is. What is your destination? What is your why? Where is it that you want to go? And why is that going to happen? And then we're going to start seeing how your business could serve you in the medium and long term towards that destination. So that's the journey, number one. Number two is the mindset. Now, before you sort of click away and say, hey, Tamer, my mindset is great. Well, you're either in one of two camps. You're either sitting there and saying mindset is really important, which is fantastic, by the way, you're on the right track. Or other people will sit there and say, hey, nothing's wrong with my mindset. I just need to know how I can sell this product. Well, with all due respect, you're wrong. I'm going to give you some tough love here if you're in that camp. I know you're not. But if you are, I know you're not. But if you are, I learned this the hard way. I thought I was untouchable. Everything I was doing when I was starting out, businesses did really well. And I thought, hey, we can't lose. Everything we're doing is amazing. And 9 times out of 10, mindset is one of the biggest things that will prevent us from where we want to be. We are really our own biggest threats inside the business. We could be either on one side where we're fearing to take risks, fearing to take action, really having no confidence in ourselves, struggling to sell and speak to people. Or we could be on the other spectrum where we're like, hey, there's nothing wrong with my mindset, and being quite complacent and arrogant, and I'm going to do all of this. But actually, business is not going to be kind to either of us. And what we need to do is we need to really get ourselves in the right headspace. Some of the biggest common inhibitors are imposter syndrome. Who am I to be able to sell this business? You are just as good as anyone else. You need to understand that, and you need to believe that in yourself. Perfectionism. I sit there trying to make everything perfect before we release it. Don't do that, and I'll talk to you about that in a little while. Value proposition. Do I have the right idea? Do I have anything special to offer the world? Money mindset. Do I know how to use money, build wealth? And a lot of us don't, because again, we're not educated to build wealth. Control and delegating. Either we don't want to hire people, or we don't want to delegate to people, or if we do, we can sometimes be complete control freaks, because at the end of the day, it's our business, it's our baby, and we don't want anyone else to touch it. And that sometimes gets in the way. Strategic thinking, discipline and patience. Now, discipline and patience is critical for your journey at this stage and every stage. The difference between people that are successful and the people that are not successful is that a lot of unsuccessful business owners run their businesses from emotion and fear and greed, in terms of, I want to make lots of money and I want it now. Oh my goodness, it's not working. And every decision we make based on fear and greed and emotions are usually the wrong decisions. And we want to be able to run our business methodically, strategically, tactically, using discipline and absolute patience. So here is your role when you're just starting a business and running and growing a business to 6 figures plus. You need to strategize and plan, and we'll talk about that in a second. You need to be able to promote and sell. Now, as your business grows later on, you can hire salespeople, and you are going to be the CEO of your business, as we want you to become. But early on, you might not be able to hire or afford to hire salespeople. And one of your biggest things that you're going to be needing to do is to actually promote your offers, sell your offers, so that you can have that cash flow coming into the business, or even promote and sell so that you can get investment and funding. Whichever way that you're going to tackle that, that's what you need to be able to do. Communicate and manage. You could be a solopreneur at this stage. That's fine. Have a plan to expand, and we'll talk about that later on. But you need to be able to communicate with your subcontractors, with your clients. You need to be able to manage your subcontractors. You need to be able to manage yourself and projects. There's a whole bunch of things that you need to be looking at in terms of filling out your accounts and speaking to your bookkeeper or accountant later on for the end of year financial statements. There's a whole lot of things that you still need to be able to do, and that's going to be part of your role to be able to do that. Cash flow and finance, again, is going to be critical. You need to make sure there's enough cash in the bank, and you need to make sure that you're being profitable as soon as you can so that you can start growing that pool of money and allow you to be able to scale the business. You need to also be able to build. Now, the build side of things is going to change in terms of what you're building during the stages of your growth. At the beginning, you're still building the business foundations, and you're building your product and service and offer and how you're going to do that. And later on, you're going to start building systems and processes. And then later on, you're going to be starting to build teams and other things. So your build goes through from start until the end of your relationship with the business, no matter how that ends. But you're going to be building different things along the way. And what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be building the right foundations for the business that will allow it to scale. Last but not least, self-develop. We all need to learn. We will learn until the day we die. I'm still learning. Nobody's got every single answer, and we need to be able to develop ourselves and get the right advice and help from the people that have actually done it there before, because usually it can give you a lot of shortcuts. Again, I learned that the hard way. Right, so that's mindset. The next one is the problem. Okay, so what is the problem that you're going to really be solving? Make sure that you're solving a real problem that people need and makes business sense. Those three things need to be all there. Make sure you're solving a real problem that people need and makes business sense, because sometimes you can be solving a real problem that nobody needs. You could be solving a real problem that people need, but actually is going to lose you money. All three of these need to be there. So how do we go about doing that? Well, first of all, you want to be able to identify who your audience is going to be. Pick an audience in the discipline of business or your expertise in terms of what you want to run your business in. Now, you could look at different disciplines. Don't look at it from just your passion perspective, because I know that passion is important and it is critical. And obviously, the more passion you have, the better the chances are that you're going to be able to sustain yourself and enjoy the business in its entire journey. I understand that, and I'm not taking that away. However, we want to not just start our business from the point of view of I'm passionate about this, but actually nobody else cares about it, and that's nobody's going to buy this thing. We want to be able to look at the target audience of where you're going to go. So look at a few of your passions, look at a few of the good things that you're interested in doing, and then look at the target audience, listen to them. Identify who they are, identify what their problems and what their needs are. And what you want to be able to do is identify what customers want and match that with what you do well. You also want to be able to look at your competitors at this stage. Later on, they can be potential collaborators and partners and JV or whatever. But at this stage, let's call them competitors, because they're in the market and you want to understand what they do well and how you're going to make yourself stand out. And what we want to be able to do is, well, the stuff that the competitors do well and the customers want and you don't do well, who cares? Good luck to them. The stuff that the competitors do and you do well and the customers don't want, well, there's no point in actually doing anything about that, right? So the stuff in the middle where everyone does it well and the customers want it is too much competition, and it's probably going to be risky. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it, but it probably means that at this stage you need to make sure that if it's risky, we do a little bit more background research and try and really identify what's going to make us stand out. The ideal place for you to play is really this section here, where your UVP should be your focus. And that's what your customers want, what you do well, but none of your competitors do it that well, or you can find a way to do it better. And that's where you really should be focusing in terms of what your problem is. Then you need to go and do some market research. You need to understand who is your customer and how you can help them. What is it that really keeps them up at night? And really try and dig into that. Sit there and say, right, be my customer for like 24 hours. What is it that they're thinking? What is it that they are dreaming about? Who are they? What is their age? Let me break them down. And this is going to be important in a second, and you'll see why we need to do this. Where are they going to be based? What is their psychographic profile? That means what are their values, their personalities, their traits, the culture, the goals that they have, the lifestyle, the hobbies, and also what is their behavioral activities that typically you associate with that particular target audience. And that really means what brand loyalty do they have? Like, are they only fans fans of Apple, or do they spend? Do they purchase things? Are they big spenders? Are they small spenders? Where do they hang out? Do they give reviews? And you begin to understand the behavior of people, not just in terms of what their personality is and what their wants and needs. Beginning to understand the people here will allow you to develop a better product or service. When I say product, I'm using them interchangeably with service. It will allow you to create a better product or service, as well as be able to understand that you now have a target audience, and how big is this audience, and how big is this market, and how much you can scale. Because this is not the same as picking your avatar. You might be saying to me, yes, Tamer, everyone tells me pick an avatar, niche down. That's not what I'm telling you to do. Actually, do not niche down. Do not niche down. Seriously, do not niche down, because niching down at the beginning is one of the worst things that you can do, because you might say, I'm niching down on this person called Amy, and Amy, has a three-legged cat, and this is what she has, and this is what she wants, and this is what she needs, and you develop the perfect product for Amy, but nobody else is like Amy, and you don't want to be able to focus on an avatar at that point. What you want to be able to do is you want to be able to focus on your target market and understand that, is this scalable? Is this market big enough for me to be able to scale in, and will there be a sufficient demand that will sustain the growth of the business? Very, very different. We will talk about picking your avatar later, but it doesn't happen at this stage. You do not build your business around a niche, around your passion, around any of these things, what most people tell you. And that's why you sit there and develop a product or come up with a solution and try and sell it, and nobody's buying. And you're wondering why. It's because we haven't done the background research first to make sure that we have a big enough market and we understand their pain points. Right, so once we've identified the problem, the next step is to come up with our solution, to come up with the product or service that we're going to offer. Now, what we ideally want to be able to do is our product or service needs to be a painkiller. It's a must-have for our client or customers. If you're in pain, you want to be able to buy something no matter what the situation is. However, if you are buying a vitamin, that's a nice to have. Maybe I can buy it, maybe I'll enjoy it, but it doesn't become an essential thing. Now, I'm not telling you don't do vitamins or vitamins for those in the US. I'm not telling you to do that, because there are a lot of vitamins or vitamins out there that make companies a lot of money. But what I'm telling you is try and veer towards the painkiller, because that's going to really allow you to sell your product despite of the environment or conditions usually. And you might say to me, hey, but my business is in the entertainment industry. I'm making a movie, or I'm making a this or that or the other. That's not necessarily a painkiller. It is, because actually you're looking at it in terms of what are the raw emotions inside us as human beings that we want to satisfy. And if that emotion of not being entertained and being unhappy and being miserable, if that pain is significant enough, we will go and do things to make us happy. So I'm not necessarily saying that it needs to be something where people are absolutely struggling with and you can't offer them something that entertains. You can, but again, within that bracket, you still identify what is the painkiller within that entertainment bracket. Now, again, here's what not to do. I've seen this a lot of times, and I did this at the beginning. I sit there and say, I'm going to start a business in X. What products and services can I actually sell in X? And then let's see if I can sell them. And then you develop them, and then you realize nobody buys them. They're too expensive to make, and I can't sell them for that price. Or actually, my customers don't really need them at all. So that's not what we should do. Now, you might say to me, okay, what about if I come up with a whole bunch of potential solutions? No, that also won't work. You're going to say to me, okay, Tamer, I get what you're going at here. We're going to look at the customer pain points. We're going to come up with potential solutions and then come up with a solution, right? Not quite. Still, we're getting very close, very, very close, but not quite. What we want to be able to do is we want to be able to look at the customer pain points and then identify what the customer benefits gained are. Now, this is really critical. We need to identify the end result that the customers are going to get in spite of the solution that you're going to make. Because later on, your solution could change, but the actual need and the desire and the results that you're going to get will inevitably be the same. So, for example, if I said to you, I'm going to manufacture a jug of water, and you say, great, here's a jug of water. But what would be better is that you look at the customer pain point and they say, hey, we want to be able to hold this amount of liquid. And then you say, right, okay, we want something as a benefit that holds the liquid, that doesn't burn them, that doesn't do this, that doesn't do that. And then you say, well, actually, now I could have a jug, I could have a bottle, I could have a cup, I could have a pot or a pan, a container. There's so many different ways to be able to come up with a solution for the end result, for the benefit. And being able to not restrict yourself at the beginning with the solution and jumping to conclusions will allow you to develop a much, much better solution. Then we come up with potential solutions, go back and check and see if these really address the pain points. Do we get the end result? Do we get the benefits? And this is also going to help us in marketing later on, but we'll come to that. And once you've come up with your potential solutions, then you go away and you pick the best one, which is optimized for benefits. Not optimized for you, not optimized for what you like, not optimized for the way that you don't want to go into a flat or an apartment or a house and you say, I'm going to renovate it for my business and sell it. And then you go and paint it ridiculous colors because that's what you like. And then most people are going to come in to look at the house and they're going to think it's absolutely ghastly. That's why I'm saying you shouldn't always do things based on what you like. It's what they want. It's what people want. So once we've got this down and we've got our solution, we then need to validate it, because a lot of people skip this step. And this is really, really important. You need to validate it by having a business case. You need to understand, is this feasible? And feasible here means, can I actually make this product? Do I have the expertise, the skill sets, the resources, the money? Is it feasible to develop a solution like this? Is it viable? Now, viable is not the same as feasible. Viable means that once I actually make it once, can I keep making it? For example, let's say that you say, I have $100 in my bank account to start a business, and this offer, product or service is going to cost me $100 to make. Feasible? Yeah, it's feasible. You then sell it for $50 and you have a $50 loss. You can't make another one for $100 because you've got $50 back, so it's not viable. And that's the difference between feasible and viable. Is it profitable? Now we need to understand, is this going to make us money? Are we going to be able to sell this? Are we going to be able to do this? But because viable as well might be a case where it's viable because I've got an endless investor who's going to keep pouring money into the business without ever caring about a return. Unlikely, but then that still makes it viable for you to keep the business running for 3 years. But is it going to be profitable? And that's what we want to be able to also ask ourselves. And is it scalable? What is the target market audience size? What is the total market size that I'm going to be able to scale in? Am I going to be able to scale this? If we scale this, can we make this product and service with the resources and the abilities that we're going to be able to provide? Is this something that is going to still make business sense as we scale this item? And last but not least, is this the best option for your customers and your business right now? Because you might have an option that is fantastic for your customers, but actually it doesn't make sense for your business, and vice versa. It might be, hey, this is the best option for my business right now to make this product and service, but that's not the best option for your customers and clients. And we need to be able to sense check all of this right at the beginning before we start building our product. But when we do, that's when you start saying, right, let's build our minimum viable product. And I really mean minimum viable product here. I don't mean that you should go and sit there and perfect it. Remember what we were talking about earlier in mindset? Do not sit there and try and perfect your product or service. Get it out there to a small audience where you can test it and get feedback and get an understanding of what it's doing well, what is not doing well, how it can be improved. Getting that feedback is going to be critical, and having that feedback loop so that you can then start going back and improving it, then scaling it into a much bigger size. And that's why I'm saying you shouldn't be trying to expect your business is going to succeed overnight, because if you are, you're going to try and jump a lot of these steps and it's going to backfire, unfortunately, to the end of that business's life. So that was the solution. What do we do next? We need to make sure that our business has a solid strategy, because we don't want to wing it. We want to be purposeful and we want to be strategic. And that's what separates a lot of business owners, where they don't think about strategy. Yes, even from day one, you need to be thinking about strategy. Now, what is strategy? Because a lot of people sit there and think it's a bunch of goals. It's not. A strategy is a series of integrated, deliberate choices you make. Very critical that they are deliberate choices that you're going to start saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And it's a series of integrated, so they're all aligned. Because a lot of times we do not do things integrated. You sit there and say, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to try Facebook ads, and I'm going to try this, and I'm going to do that. And then you realize that what you're doing, none of it is aligned towards a core strategy or a core destination in terms of where you want to go. So it needs to be a series of integrated, deliberate choices you make, designed by you, critical, it's designed. This is not you just waking up and feeling in that moment that that's what you're going to do. Designed to navigate you through challenges and obstacles, because you are going to have challenges and obstacles. Make no mistake. Every business is going to have challenges and obstacles. And what you want to be able to do is identify those before they happen so that you can plan your way and navigate through that. It's exactly like a sat nav. It will know that there's traffic here and there's an accident here and there's that there, and it will try and navigate you through all of these obstacles and challenges that you've got. And that's what you want to be able to do for your business as well, and steadily guide you towards your long-term destination. Steadily, very important word, because it is going to be a game of discipline and patience. You're going to be moving steadily towards growing your business rather than like a roller coaster ride. I do not want a roller coaster ride for you. I've had one or more, and they're horrible. Please don't do that. What we want to be doing is we want to understand that we are heading steadily towards our long-term destination. So that's strategy. The next thing is you start building your company structure. And there are two things. We want to be able to build the structure the right way from the get-go. And there are two things, and those are your internal and external business structure. And they are quite different, and we need to make sure that at the beginning, we take a look at both of them. Your external structure is predominantly going to be your legal structure. How are you going to structure your business? Is it going to be a limited liability company, an LLC, a partnership, a sole proprietorship? How are you going to structure that business? How is it going to look legally? How are you going to make that business official in front of both the country that you live in, as well as the customers and clients that see you and look and search you up? At this stage also, you're going to be looking at how you formulate potential contracts. If you're hiring people, what kind of accounting structure you're going to have, what banks are you going to open, making sure that you're trademarking certain aspects within your business in terms of name or logo or any of this stuff. We need to be able to consider a lot of that in terms of the external structure. Then we look at the internal structure, and I've talked about this a lot on my channel, but I'm going to summarize it very quickly, which is having really 4 pillars inside the business. The why, which is you, the CEO pillar, the business owner pillar, the entrepreneur pillar, the product, which is where you develop your products and services, the customer, and the business. So the product is basically where you develop your products and services, you produce them, make them, even if it's a product or a service, and you deliver that product, whether it's you're distributing it and shipping it to somebody or delivering that service yourself, whether it's virtually or one-to-one or one-to-many, so on and so forth. The customer side is everything that's to do with the customer experience. And that's your marketing, your sales, and your after sales. And these are specific functions within your business that you need to understand are different functions inside your business. Initially, you're going to probably be doing most, if not all of them, but you need to understand that that's not your role. Your role is sitting up at the top, the why, working on your business, and you need to move towards that as quickly as you possibly can where it makes financial and business sense. Last but not least is the business pillar, which has the operations where you build your systems and processes, any admin stuff that you need to do later on, and management, as well as your finance, your bookkeeping, your financial forecasting, your budgeting, all of these things, as well as legal, where we've just built the right external structure, hopefully. And later on, you've got the HR, where you start hiring people, purchasing, where you need to buy things, IT, where you need to get the right tech stack, which we'll talk about, as well as business intelligence, where you're looking at your competitors, what's happening in the market, feedback from your customers, etc. And these are all different functions within the business, and you will sit right in the middle between all of these things. And then as you begin to grow, you might start hiring out people like a personal assistant or a marketing person or a salesperson or somebody who's going to help you deliver that product or service. And usually these are some of the first hires that you'll have. It might not be today, it might not be in 3 months or 6 months, but at some point, if you do want to start scaling your business beyond the 6-figure mark, you're going to probably need to have at least 1 or 2, if not more people. Otherwise, you're just going to always be a slave to your business and you won't be able to get that freedom that you've been looking for in the first place. So this essentially is the structure of the business. Up at the top, you've got the job description of what you need to be doing. You've got your structure down there in terms of the different pillars within the business. And last but not least, in terms of how the organizational structure is going to work in terms of who you're going to hire out later in the different particular areas. And as your business grows beyond 7 figures, each of these functions that you see inside all of these pillars will probably need to have initially a person and then later on a team, depending on how big you want to grow your business. So that was structure. Now, let's have a look at the next one, which is the customer experience. Now, the customer experience here is not just about after sales, because a lot of people get this confused. I am talking about the entire customer journey from the minute customers hear anything about you until the end where they've left you and they're raving or they're coming back to you, hopefully. So we want to be able to hone in your customer journey because this is one of the most important things. Remember, your business is about your customer. It's not about you, remember? So we want to be able to make sure that this bit gets a lot of attention because what we want to be able to look at is how we're going to provide that customer experience. And that's provided with 4 things: brand, marketing, sales, and after sales. Now, let's break each one of these down in a little bit more detail. The brand. What you want to be doing and what your goal is to really stand out from the crowd. And this is not just about your logo. It's not just about the colors that you use. They're important and they will dictate some aspects of what your business represents. However, this is really about your business's personality and character. And yes, they are 2 separate things. And we want our brand to make sure that it is clearly representing its personality as well as the character of the business, and then the logos and the colors and the websites and the stuff that you actually do for promotion in terms of your tone of voice, how you speak to people, how you communicate, how you publish, how you represent yourself. Are you a high-end brand, a low-end brand? All of these will come after you defining the personality and the character. Next up is marketing. Marketing is all about you making your customers or your potential customers aware of your products or services and your offer. And that is all about you attracting them and finding and working with your ideal clients. This is where you niche down. Remember early on when we said you build your business model? You do not build your business model around your niche. Let's have a look at Apple, for example. I know Apple's a huge company and you're going to say it still applies exactly the same way. I'm not telling you to go and develop multiple products, but let's look at just one, the iPad. The iPad is used by nearly everybody. It's used by grandparents to call in their grandchildren. It's used by doctors and nurses in hospitals to be able to look at analytics and results for their patients. Students use it to take down notes. Other people use it for entertainment purposes. It has a whole bunch of different avatars, right? But the market was really aimed at a demographic of somebody who wanted to have a computing device in a tablet form where they can move around with it so easily and be able to have video calls on it, so on and so forth. The marketing messaging is then where it's aimed at your avatar. When you start coming up with your marketing messaging, you pick an avatar and you look at the customer journey for that avatar and you say, right, how are they going to use this product or service? What is their particular pain points? And let's target them specifically. So you will see Apple doing ads towards grandparents and having them look at communications with their children and their grandchildren. And then you'll see other ads where it's doctors and how they're using it in the hospital environment, or students, so on and so forth. And each marketing campaign that you do, you hone in on the avatar. When you first start out just with one avatar. And that's where the confusion comes in with all of these gurus telling you to niche down from the start. They say, hey, niche down, pick one avatar, pick one. It's right, but that's not how you build your business in the first place, because you've now built your business based on a target market that is scalable and is big and has a real need. And you know that you could scale into multiple different avatars. And then you say, right, which avatar shall I pick? With first, let me try that avatar, let's market to them. And then as we scale, we can open up more avatars to be able to open up more segments in the market, if you will. Also, remember the customer pain points that we really went through and said, look, let's look at your customer research. Let's look at the pain points. Let's look at the benefits. Let's really understand the benefits. Use those to target and attract your audience, because you know what? People want to buy. People hate being sold to, but people want to buy. So if you begin to understand their pain points and they're looking for it, and you educate them that here is a solution that will really give them the benefits and the end results that they need, they're already half sold on your product or service. And that's what you want to be able to do. Instead of sitting there saying, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, in a crowd, you want to be able to get people knocking on your door saying, hey, can I really buy your stuff? Does it really do what you're saying it does? That's when you know that you've got a product or service that is in demand and you can scale. Right, sales. This is the lifeblood of your business. And this is basically like the oxygen for your business. If you don't have sales, you're not going to have cash coming in, unless, of course, you've got investment and you're a tech startup. I understand that. But let's say, for example, now you're not getting any investment into the business. This is the lifeblood of your business. And this is what you need to focus on to make sure that you are growing and scaling your business. And I know a lot of us hate sales. We hate it. However, if we want to run a business, we need to learn how to do it and how to do it well, in not a sleazy way, in a way that is completely authentic, is completely moral and ethical. We don't want to be able to trick people. This sales is not about tricking people. Sales is about you having the responsibility that if you have an awesome product that really benefits the customer's pain point, it is your duty to make them aware that that product can solve their problem. And if you are able to deliver that, and you should be, then they will thank you afterwards for it. And that is the kind of relationship that we want to be able to do. You know, when you think that you are going to help people, when it's not sales and somebody comes and asks you for help and you're more than happy to help them and they thank you, that's what you should be doing in sales. That's what you should be doing, is making them aware that this is the product that's really going to help them, but please make sure that it really does help them, because again, let's be authentic. Let's not be sleazy. Let's not be slimy. Let's make sure that people are getting what they really have a pain point for and really want a problem to be solved for them. So if you've done your marketing correctly and you've used the customer benefits, and that's why having that background research right at the beginning and making sure that your product or service is going to be feasible, viable, scalable, profitable, making sure that you understand who your target demographic demographic is, what their pain points are, what their personalities are, what their psychographic behaviors, all of these, when you begin to understand all of that and you're talking to them and you know what's keeping them up at night, that's when you've done half the work, and closing the deal should be a lot easier. Right, let's have a look at the last one in the customer experience, which is after sales. You need to be able to make sure that you deliver and retain clients by giving them an amazing experience. When they sign on, they've put their trust in you, and don't take that trust lightly, because the companies that make sure that they give and deliver and over-deliver are the companies that last, because your business in the beginning will be built on what your product or offer or service is and what the benefits are and what solution you're providing. But later on, it will last and sustain based on what your clients think of you as a business and the reputation that you provide in the marketplace. So you want to be able to make sure that you give them an amazing journey. And one of the things that you should be doing at this stage is really mapping out, what do you do the minute they start giving you money and they are now your clients? How are you going to onboard them? How are you going to not just deliver, but over-deliver on your promises to them, and make sure that you're getting that feedback loops in terms of how can we improve? How can we make this better? Are you satisfied? Did you get the results? Is there a way that we can make it better? Making sure that you're continuously improving your products and service, and also making sure that you hear and listen to your customers, because they are the most important thing that your business will live or die on. So that's the customer experience. The next one up is the finance. And that is all about you making money and getting, hopefully, financially free. That's why we're here, right? For most of us, there's nothing wrong with making money if you do it ethically, if you do it the right way, in a non-sleazy manner. But if you're actually providing a service that people need, and you're impacting our society in an amazing way, then there's nothing wrong with being able to be financially free. So let's talk about your first 100K, 6 figures or equivalent. There are many ways to make 6 figures, and I want to break it down for you so hopefully it becomes more tangible in terms of understanding how easy it is, hopefully, to do that. You can say, I'm going to charge $1 for something, and you're going to need to have 100,000 people or 100,000 purchases of that thing, right? So if you're selling something for $1 in a shop or a store, and you need to sell 100,000 of them to be able to make that 6 figures. If your price is $10, then you only need 10,000 purchases per se. If your price is $100, then you only need 1,000 people. And it becomes a lot easier if your price is just $100, then finding 1,000 people is not such a big deal if you've done your market research properly. And that's why, again, I keep going back to that. Understanding the size of your market, understanding the exposure that you're going to have in that marketplace, understanding the people's needs, and being able to really target them, and understanding where they hang out, what their behavior is, being able to target a large number of people. But it becomes a lot easier afterwards that if your item is just $1,000, then you sell it, you only need to sell 100 of them. Likewise, if you're selling something at $10,000, like say for example a high-end coaching program, or say for example a second-hand car or a relatively low-priced car, you only need to sell 10 of them. On the other end of the spectrum, if you are selling something which is priced at 100,000, you only need to sell 1 of them. So for example, if you're selling an apartment or a house or a high-end car or anything else, you only need to find 1 person to buy that, and that will give you 6 figures. Now, what you're going to need to do is you see where you are going to be on this table and understand how many people you need to sell to make that 6 figures happen, and then begin to understand, if I need to attract 100 people to sell something at $1,000, where can I find these 100 people? And that's where, again, going back to understanding the viability of your choice in terms of product or service, the target audience that you're targeting. If you begin to understand that there is a market there that has 100 people that I can sell them something for $1,000, then that's what you should be working towards. Also, you need to be looking at, are people buying just this thing one-off? If they're just going to buy a single house from me and never come back for another 5 to 10 years? Or am I going to be able to upsell them something where they buy something for $100, but if they buy a second item, once they come into the shop or once they become a customer, that we can upsell them to something else because they're going to have an amazing experience with us, then you can begin to see that figure of getting to 100,000 becomes a lot easier, especially as well with recurring. So if you are doing something which is a monthly subscription, then that $10, for example, is going to be by 12, because every month for a year, you're going to have $10, $120. So you've moved down to the next bracket where instead of saying for $10, I need 10,000 people, now you're moving down to a bracket where you say, actually, it's $120 and I need less than 1,000 people to be able to sign up to this thing. And that's what you need to be looking at and asking yourself questions. But also, that's not the full story, because as you know, you're going to have a lot of expenses in your business, and that's why you need to have a budget. And even if it's a basic one at this stage, just get something down. Even if it's a simple spreadsheet, start off with saying, this is how much I'm going to pay, this is how much I'm going to sell for, and this is how much it's going to cost me. And then see what difference you have, and then start deciding how much am I going to pay towards X and Y within the functions of your business as your business starts to grow. So I really want you to set up your business with the right financial health. And one of the things that you should absolutely do is separate your personal and business accounts, because you don't want them messing with each other. You need to make sure that you are disciplined enough to say your business is your business and it has its own accounts and its own entity. And legally, once you register it, it is a separate legal entity as a structure as well. And separate that from your personal accounts. Otherwise, it becomes too messy. Again, I speak from experience. I'm not pointing any fingers, and if I was, I'd be pointing it at this guy. Right, last but not least, make sure you have enough cash in the bank. So that's finance. The next one is the tech setup. Obviously, once you've got your products and service and you've got your strategy, you've got your marketing, you've got everything, you need to be able to make sure that you've got the right tech and the right platform set up in your business. Essentially, what you're going to be doing as your business grows, you're going to be looking at the technologies that you need to satisfy each of these functions and the operations within your business. And the same thing is going to happen within your systems. And you can see that this can be expanded. Each function will have its own operations inside what they're going to be doing. And you're going to be able to see what systems and processes, we're going to talk about that in a second, but also what kind of technology and platforms and software do I need to be able to use for that. But when you're first starting out, some of the most basic things will be that you probably need to have a website. It's always a good thing because people will go and check your website before they come to you. You need to have some payment processing like Stripe or PayPal, or being able to process credit cards. That's going to be important for you to be able to take money, which is what you want to be doing in your business. You also need to have a platform which you'll be able to have for bookkeeping and accounts and being able to really follow what's happening with your money. And that could be simply outsourced to a bookkeeper if you want to, or you can have it in-house. And there are quite a few platforms that will enable you to do this much easier. Additionally, with the legal stuff, you will probably have documents for your own contracts and the establishment of your business, or you will have a platform as well that will provide these documents that you can download and adapt to yourself. And then some kind of collaboration and project management tools. So collaboration could be whether it's Zoom for Zoom calls, project management could be like ClickUp tools, whether you need to have a Google Drive space, so on and so forth. Email and automation is critical. You need to be emailing your potential leads, and you need to be emailing your clients as well to keep them updated of anything that's happening with your business. And that should be an automated process where you can start bringing up people on your list and then educating them, giving them awareness of what your products and your services are and what value that you provide to them. Last but not least, social media. Have a voice on social media. It really helps in this day and age. There is a lot of noise and it is hard to get started if you're still at the beginning, but it does work. And if you're consistent and you tie it down to the overall strategy of the business, that's where it becomes really important. Don't just go out there and start saying, hey, let me try every single platform and I need to be omnipresent. And that's just going to wear you down and actually do very little and dilute all of your efforts. So that's the tech setup. Number 10, we're almost there, the systems. And this is all about developing the right systems and processes in your business. Now, when you started building your products and service, marketing them, you're going to start realizing that you're going to be doing things over and over again, and you want to be able to document them as they happen. Systems stands for save yourself stress, time, energy, and money. But seriously, it's all the encompassing processes, the technology that you use, the people, and how all of these interact within your business to be able to provide the functions that you need inside your business. And then the processes are really the documented step-by-steps in terms of how to do something over and over again so that it can be done consistently. Systems are there to improve efficiency, really, in terms of like, what tech do we use? How can we streamline our processes down? What people can we have to be able to achieve what we want in the fastest way possible at the highest quality possible? Processes are about effectiveness. How effective is the process that you're actually doing? And how can you keep making sure that it is consistent every time it's being done, no matter who actually takes it done? And what you want to be doing is anything that you are doing more than once, you start documenting that as, here's the process of doing that. That could be as a document, or you can just record a video and say, here, this is how I do this, and you can show it to the next person. Keep things simple at this stage. Don't overcomplicate things. So that's systems. The next one is the team. And the team, I am not just talking necessarily about employees, because you might not have any at the moment. You might be a solopreneur, you're still starting out, you can't afford to hire people. You should start hiring people as soon as you can, because it's going to make you focus on the right stuff and help you grow the business rather than you doing the mundane tasks that you should not be doing. And sometimes people are better at doing certain things than we are. So we need to be able to make sure that we outsource or we hire as soon as possible. But here I am talking about your people in general. People are your primary investment, whether that's your contractors, whether that's your employees, your partners, your stakeholders, your suppliers, your customers themselves. All of these are people that you're going to be needing to deal with. So it is important for you to have a people strategy in terms of how you're going to communicate with each of these particular types of people. Sometime you're going to need to start hiring. And what you need to do is you need to figure out when is the right time to hire. And certain signs might be if you have to start declining work and you're just too busy to do anything and you're pushing people and customers away. If your customer experience or quality that you're providing actually gets impacted, signs are that you're probably going to need to hire somebody. Similarly, looking at revenue, if that stops and stalls, it might be time to start hiring more people, especially marketing or salespeople, but make sure that you've got enough cash in the bank first to be able to do that. And if you or other members of your team are working on less valuable things, because you might pay somebody $10 an hour and actually go and make $1,000 sale. So it probably makes more sense at a certain point in time to pass on the low value tasks inside the business to other people so that you can focus on the things that bring in a lot of value to the business. Last but not least, if you're lacking a skill or a competency within yourself or your team, if you've got a certain weakness or a gap in your competency, then that's where you hire someone else to really provide that strength and resource into the business. So start by hiring for gaps in the business or the things that you just don't want to do, that you find boring. Just give it to somebody else. Focus on the things that adds a lot of value, as long as it adds value. You don't want to give something else to people that actually is just not going to add any value, and you start focusing on the mundane tasks because that's what you enjoy. Be realistic with yourself and just make sure that you are always outsourcing the things that are lower value, that your time can be spent better elsewhere. That's the team. Finally, the last one is the testing. There is a big difference between business owners that fail and that succeed. And the ones that succeed and sustain are ones that usually split test and run metrics, and they follow these metrics and they make sure that they're keeping tabs with what's going on in their business and they really understand how things are. You will fail so many times. I know, I'm sorry to be bringing this news, but like I said, tough love. You are going to fail so many times. That's a given. But what we want to do is to plan failure into your business so that it doesn't collapse and it doesn't just get you out of business. We're going to make sure that we control these failures, and they happen in steps where we are controlling the failed experiment. We are encouraging and integrating failure into our business, because a lot of people that fail in business are the people that fear failure. Okay, they fear failure, and ironically, they end up failing. But the ones that are successful are the ones that actually integrate and plan failure into their business and actually don't fail, because failure is an inevitable part of life. The world is not perfect, and we shouldn't expect our business to run perfectly. So the trick here is to plan failures into your business in small, controlled failures in forms of split testing. You want to be able to split test everything. And I'm not just talking about a website. I'm talking about, okay, what about if we do this one variation, how will it affect the business? And if we do that variation, how will it affect the business? And you're changing constantly, and you're testing things out, and you're changing just one variable at a time. So what you need to do first is you need to select a few metrics to track in your business. Figure out what are the most important metrics that are going to really make you understand your business a bit better, and see then how each small single variation, very, very critical. You don't want to change too many things at the same time, because you don't know which one had an effect. So you change one small thing at a time and see how that change has made an impact on the metrics that you've got. And you know in advance that one of them is going to fail. And if it fails, it's okay, we can try the other one. And that's why it's important to have a minimum viable product. You don't want to go out and invest all of your resources and time and energy into perfecting an offer and a service or a product that nobody wants. So get out your minimum viable product, test certain things before you start scaling, before you start growing. Test it in very small environments. Make sure that you've got a small amount of people that you're testing it on, and then you grow and you grow and you grow. And as you're growing, you still continue to test in your business everything that you're doing. That's testing. Okay, so it's not just about this framework, because what I want you to look at is your business from a bird's eye view. And when you're looking to grow your business using a a framework like this, you need to treat your business as the main product that you're developing. Now, this is a perspective that most business owners don't have. Most business owners will sit there and think about the products and the services that they have inside the business, and then they get caught up inside the business because they get overwhelmed a lot. Remember, you're building a business so that it could serve you for that impact and financial freedom and time freedom and all of these things, but we end up working inside the business for years to come, not making any money, just struggling. And that's because we're working too much inside the business. What you want to look at is my product that I'm building is actually the business. What elements does this product need? Here is my framework. Okay, I need these functions. I need this. You are now the customer to your business, and you are saying, here are my pain points, and I want a business that serves me as a product. And the whole business is a product. And then you look in terms of how you're going to start moving all the pieces of the puzzle inside the business to build that sort of product or service for you. The business is your product. And that's a perspective that when people begin to really understand, that's what all of the successful people do. And that's why you'll see a lot of people saying, I'm going to build a business and sell it. I'm going to do this. And that's where a lot of the wealth gets made. It's not about actually what you make inside your business, although you can still do that and you can still live a very happy life. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want. But if you are really looking towards getting that financial freedom and that time freedom, you need to start taking a step out from day one and saying, I am going to jump inside my business to do these particular functions, but I know that's not me. I'm going to hire people later on to do these things so that I'm looking at this whole business as an overall product. So you start off with all of these random jigsaw pieces, and the framework that we've got is your roadmap to putting all of these pieces together and solving that puzzle. So you might be wondering, okay, Tamer, that's all great. There's a lot of stuff there. What next? Well, it is really exciting for me to announce that we've actually come up with a program for you because you've been asking for it quite a lot. We've been focusing a lot on 7+ figure businesses before, but now we do have something for this stage of business. And I hope that you'll be able to join us and allow us the privilege to be part of your business journey. And it is with pleasure that I do announce Groundbreaker Academy. Groundbreaker is essentially your 12-month framework for business mastery and exponential growth. So the Groundbreaker Academy is really aimed at you, the small business owner that is just starting up or is struggling to scale their business to 6 figures and beyond. And what we're going to do is we're going to help you build your business using that framework, as well as other things that I'm going to talk about in a second, so that you could really have that clarity and confidence to build that business that you've always wanted to build in the first place. So the reason that we created Groundbreaker Academy is that this is what I would have wished I would have had when I was trying to grow my businesses. I kept on complaining and ranting a lot to people about no good education out there for like small business owners, and it's all rubbish and it's all academic and it's all this and that and the other. And then one person once said to me, well, why don't you stop complaining and do something about it? So here I am, hopefully in a way, giving back to the business community, but also as business entrepreneurs, we want to be able to take advantage of business ourselves, and you would be able to see how we operate, as well as be able to help advise you to grow your business as well. So what the Groundbreaker Academy does is it takes you through every single stage of the framework and really helps you make sure that you've built the right solid foundation. So as you begin to grow, as you begin to scale your business, those foundations are there so that you don't trip up and you save yourselves those years of misery and hundreds, if not thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars. The aim of Groundbreaker is really to help you get clarity on how exactly you're going to grow your business to 6 figures and beyond. It's also going to allow you to go through mindset, as well as the ability to understand your role as the CEO of your very, very small and early business that hopefully will be much, much larger and much, much more successful in the future. And what we will do is we will also help you understand that you are really solving a really needed problem that makes business sense, that you can scale and make it profitable for yourself. We'll also be there to guide you on how you can develop a strategy for your business that can also make you stand out, that can make you navigate through all of the obstacles along the way and the challenges, and you really understand how to think strategically in your business and make those decisions where you are clear and confident exactly on the decisions that you're making and where your business is heading. We'll also help you build and implement the right company structure, whether it's internal or external, as well as also how you can build the right systems and processes inside your business. And then you'll be able to also attract and sell to and really offer an amazing customer experience and develop that plan of how you're going to develop that entire customer experience journey inside your business. And last but not least, you'll also be able to look at your finances and ensure that you can actually look at budgets in a way that is simplified, but also helps you make the strategic decisions of where you put your money so that you can invest it back into the business and it can help grow and build you that financial freedom that you want. There's a whole bunch more of other things, but we really do walk you through each and every stage of this framework. And remember, this is not a step-by-step process. There are times when you're going to need to circle back to like the problem, to the solution, to the strategy, refine and improve, and you'll be able to do that using this strategy, if you will. Now, Groundbreaker Academy is made up of many components, because what we wanted to do is not just give you a passive course and then you say good luck and be on your way. Yes, there is a comprehensive online course where we cover every module, covers every single stage of the actual framework that we've covered, but also we have allowed this to become a membership where you can be part of a vibrant entrepreneur business community where you can ask for advice. We'll have expert office hours by our coaches and our facilitators, as well as provide quarterly group workshops where you'll be able to really understand where your business is going, plan for the next quarter, plan for the quarter after that, make sure that you are also held accountable during those workshops, as well as track your progress on our customized platform where you'll be able to enter your revenue and be able to see how you can track and chart your business journey and its growth. A whole bunch of other things that I'm not going to go into detail about. You can go to the website and I'm sure you'll see that it's been built for people like you and me. Now, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to grow your business the right way, because it's really important to get this right at the beginning over the next 12 months so that you can scale it to 6 figures and beyond. It's really time to let go of your fear, stop thinking emotionally about your business and start thinking with discipline, patience, and strategy, and be able to really put down something solid where you're confident and clear, and stop guessing about the decisions that you're making and start knowing that the decisions you're going to make are the right ones for your business. Let's make you the entrepreneur you're meant to be. I'm going to give you a link here for you to be able to go and download the framework and get information on how you could join us in Groundbreaker Academy so that you can really scale your business. But you can download the framework for free and be able to look at it and be able to follow it yourself. If you so do not want to join us, that's fine too. Part of what we do here is to be able to offer hopefully tons of value for free. And those that really want to be able to get more in terms of the guidance and the advice by us in terms of how to take their business to the next level, then we welcome them into the Groundbreaker Academy. If you've stuck around here until now, then I would like to thank you personally for being here. Your trust in us is something that we don't take lightly. So I really hope that we've been able to provide you the value worth the time that you've spent on this video. Please remember to like this video. It really does make a difference. And also put down in the comments below if you have any questions about any part of the framework as we've discussed today. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.